Well, people, we have arrived. We have arrived on Hump Day, Wednesday, number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing this to you from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming to you the show on YouTube. Speaking of the channel this evening, give us a like, a thumbs up on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that little bell so that way you can get all of your alerts, news, notes, entertainment, information on all things Crimson Tide. We also got you covered here on Facebook and Twitter as well, all forms of social media streaming to you the show. We have a lot to get into, a lot to unpack on today. Crimson Tide continuing the preparation for its home matchup against Southern Miss on Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Going to have a lot to discuss here on the show. A little bit later on, we're going to be joined live by my man Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, to talk Crimson Tide recruiting. Got to shout out my man John Ivor in the building, doing his thing on the ones and twos on the beats in the production studio, bringing us into this day of shows. And we want to hear from you guys tonight. 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you on this evening. That daily super chat goes $75. Daily super chat go. Appreciate the support coming from each and every last one of you. But we get into now topic number one of the conversation this evening, and that goes to Nick Saban and Alabama's defensive staff. It cannot be overly reliant, or it cannot put too much on Will Anderson, the sophomore outside linebacker for the Crimson Tide. Alabama's coaching staff defensively got to protect Will Anderson right now, just due to, we know Anderson wants ball. We know the native Georgian. He wants football. He's about football. He is all in on the gridiron game. Got a chance to hear him speak during player interviews on Monday prior to the show. And Anderson said everything that we all have been talking about. You know, he mentioned how Alabama has not yet defensively played 60 minutes, a full 60 minutes. It's not played to the Alabama standard. It has not lived up to the Alabama standard, and it has to do this. Anderson spoke on, we got to watch more film. We've got to be more focused. We got to have more intensity. Football has to become the most important thing to us, and this is good. This is really huge, because it's one thing for Nick Saban to say these things, right? But it's another thing when you have your peers saying this exact same statement. This means that the psychology of Coach Saban is starting to take root, where players are getting the gist. The leadership players are getting the gist of what Saban has been saying, and they have been funneling that message, or they are funneling that message throughout the remainder of the team. Coach Saban has always talked about the best championship teams, especially on defense, are ones that are player-led. Peer-led, when the players take the bull by the horns, when the players are able to police the entire group there. So it's good to hear this from Will Anderson. It's good to see this from Will. I mean, I talked about this on Monday's show in terms of the defensive front. The one player that we know and I know that's got that dog mentality, that want it, is Anderson. So it is outstanding to hear this message from him. But the question becomes, who will follow him? Who will come behind him? Who will back him up? Because we're starting to see here that a lot of these opposing offenses, these offensive coordinators, offensive line coaches, they're saying, okay, if we double team 31, if we take 31 out the frame, if we take 31 out the gate, Alabama has nobody else that we need to be afraid of. Alabama has nobody else that we need to respect. Alabama has nobody else that we need to set attention to. All they've got is 31. We take 31, we take Anderson out, nobody else on their team can win those one-on-one battles. Nobody else on their team we need to be afraid of. No one else on their team causes us to fear them outside of 31. So Saban and this defensive staff, it's got to create opportunities now for some other guys to really, truly pop, to truly become threats here on the defensive front so that more opportunities can be open for Anderson to do more damage there at his outside linebacker position. First and foremost, this opens up more stuff. Well, Alabama needs to open up more opportunities for Drew Sanders, for Chris Braswell, for Dallas Turner, for King Wakuda. Other outside linebackers need this opportunity to step up and show who they are. Take that pressure off Will Anderson. Take that strain off Will. Take the unnecessary responsibilities off him so that there can be other guys that can contribute, other guys that can be dangerous, other guys that can be dynamic here where this defensive front is concerned. Drew Sanders is going to get there. Drew Sanders is going to be a quality player. He is going to be a marquee guy on this team as he continues to grow and develop, but you have to get more chances, more opportunities for him on the field. The same thing with Chris Braswell. I go back to the spring where Coach Saban said, we've got to get this guy a role. He's a pass rusher. He's an edge rusher. He can sack the quarterback. He can create those negative plays defensively that we need, but Alabama has got to create more opportunities for him. The same thing with Dallas Turner, 6'4", 245 pounds, freshman from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He's got the potential. He's got the tools. He's got the capability to be a big-time edge rusher, a sack specialist. Got to create more chances for him, and the same with King Wakuda. Got length, got size, got athleticism. Young man from Georgia, he too can be a big weapon as an outside linebacker. You got to create those chances for him on the field. And as we even move into now, the inside linebackers, Christian Harris and Henry To'o, both of those two have to step up absolutely. Christian Harris, we did not hear his name called much at all after the first quarter against Florida. Henry To'o has seen better days. Kind of a frustrating moment for him against the Gators as well. But both guys can affect the quarterback. Both guys can blitz. Both guys can affect the passing game. Going back to Christian Harris last year, I believe he had 4.5 sacks. So he's capable of doing that. He's capable of coming on some pressures. He's capable of getting in the quarterback's face and disrupting some things. Got to create, a chance there, but he's got to continue to step up as well. Him and To'o. I even have to look at a guy like a Jalen Moody also that's got that rough rider mentality, that 3-star mentality of pushing everybody to be better. Maybe a time to get Jalen Moody more so on the field. As we look at now the defensive line, here's a shot for rotating more guys in. I mean, all we heard all offseason long from coaches and players, Bama's rotating 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 deep on the defensive line. The deepest defensive line Bama has had in quite some time. Where are these guys? Where are they at though? Where are these guys at, though? I mean, we've been seeing Fedarian Mathis. We've been seeing DJ Dale. We've been seeing, Justin the Boy B. But where is more Tim Smith? Where is more Byron Young? Where is more Stephon Wynn? Where is more Jamil Burrows? Where is more Jamarian Latham? Where is more of these? Where's some of these freshman guys that Bama's brought in? We haven't seen Monkel Goodwine. We haven't seen Damon Payne. We haven't seen and Quinn Barnes. We haven't seen Tim Keenan III. Like, where is this depth that the players and the coaches were talking about all offseason? Gotta rotate in more of these defensive linemen, keeping bodies fresh, but most importantly, taking that unnecessary pressure off of Will Anderson. And I go back to the defenses that we have grown to appreciate, value, and enjoy under the Saban era. When you look at the 2009 defense, the 2011 defense, the 2012 defense, the 2015 through 17 defenses, what made those groups so great was there was more than one player Bama had several players off those defenses coming at you at all certain angles, all certain directions, and the opposing teams, the opposing offensive lines couldn't stop these guys, and the opposing quarterbacks did not know what to do. Case in point, the 2015 season where Alabama took on Michigan State for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl in Texas, and the entire week, people kept saying, well, Connor Cook, he's so good, he's so poised, he's so accurate, he's so precise. Connor Cook got so much press that week, and while so many people kept talking about Jonathan Allen, and he was dynamic, dominant, but along with him, you had Dalvin Tomlinson, boom, hitting him. Deron Payne, boom, hitting him. Tim Williams, boom, hitting him. Ryan Anderson, boom, hitting him. Reuben Foster, boom. Reggie Ragland, boom. Rashawn Evans, boom. Deshaun Hand, boom. Guys kept coming. And Connor Cook was like, Coach, the creatures, they're everywhere. They're coming from everywhere. They couldn't stop them. Michigan State could not stop them, because it was more than just Jonathan Allen. Everybody on that defense had that confidence within themselves on the defensive front. They all kept coming at Connor Cook, and Michigan State could not stop everybody. So in this sense, when you look at Will Anderson, he is elite. He is next level. He is prime time. But who is going to help him? Who is going to rise to back this young brother up so that Alabama can have those guys coming consistently, affecting the quarterback and having that fearsome defense that it needs to have at the point of attack here? We're going to go to our first break here on the show, folks. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. When we get back, we'll dive into the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. It's coming right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care, in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99, and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
As we are back into the action from the break on a Wednesday hump day, number one form for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody checking us out on today. Got a super chat to get to. How about Gucci, Tide? That $5 donation helping us out here on the show. Appreciate the love there from Gucci Tide. We go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We take our first call of the evening. You're live on the show. What's going on? How you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Well, Stephen, I'll tell you what, this is old President Whalen calling from up here around northwest Alabama. We had a historic show there Monday. 131 likes, I believe 252 in the chat. Boy, I tell you what, we had a show there Monday. Everybody was calling in. I'm glad to see that. So many in the chat. I'm going to get right off the bat here and get it over with and tell everybody I see everybody, love everybody. Hello to everybody in the chat. There's just so many now. It's hard for me to say hello to each and every one of you. Cities, towns, countries, and states, TDA appreciates every one of you. I do too, for the comments, the donations, the calls, It's unreal, unreal. All right, Stephen, lay it on me here. Give me some good words today on Hump Day, and then I want to talk about a little problem we got, and then I'm going to move on there. Lay something good on me.
All right, so Coach Saban in his press conference right now, Waylon, I think today he mentioned he's finally got the attention of everybody. He's finally got the attention of the entire team. Of course, Will Anderson got the attention also in player interviews on Monday. So I think the Saban psychology has kicked in.
Well, excuse me. I had to get a drink of Coke. I'm going to make this quick, but I don't want to make quick. It shouldn't be quick, but we're going to have to. We're having a lot of trouble down at the border, and a lot of these preachers are getting on TV here and saying the Bible don't say nothing about immigration. These preachers are taking the Bible and twisting these verses to fit their agendas, and you know that just as well as I do because you preach the Word. So Leviticus 19:33 to 34, I'm going to end it like this. This is what should happen on the border with these people. This is what God said for us to do. When the stranger resides with you in your land, you shall not wrong him. The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as one of your citizens. You shall love him as yourself, for you were once. Just remember what God said now. You were once a stranger in the land of Egypt. All right, I love everybody. Remember that. Let's pray for this country. We need to pray hard. We got people that just don't understand what's going on. We need to pray for them every day. I love everybody on this show. I'll see y'all Friday. God bless everybody. Bye-bye, Stephen.
We got Pastor Waylon in the building. He serves so many hats when it comes down to this show. We appreciate our own Waylon calling in. We take our next call right here. You are live on the show on a Wednesday. What's happening? What's going on? How you feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Steven, it's your boy Coach Smook, calling from Phoenix City, Alabama, formerly known as Senator Hines. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man, doing good. First day of fall is in here. We got Southern Miss this weekend, so some things for Alabama to get in order before taking on Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, but I'm feeling good.
That's good, man. Well, I wasn't able to call in on the show Monday. I was able to go back and listen to it, and you made a lot of valid points. But I want to address the fan base of Alabama as a whole. I don't think we understand how we had successful seasons in past. Anytime that we've blown through the season, first 8-9 games, anytime we had to experience late adversity, late in the season, we didn't fare well, and that was with talented teams. You know, we've always had talented teams, athletes all over the field, but when they were able to dominate through the whole season and not be able to get taught a lesson, you know, like Nick Saban keeps reiterating, you know, he has the attention of the team now. We should be more appreciative of the game that we had, like, against Florida. Honestly, we can't blame the coaching scheme, the defensive coaching scheme. If you go back and watch that game, Toa missed 6 tackles in the second half that I counted during the second half. Christian Harris missed 2 in the backfield. Defensive linemen were getting double teamed, you know, because we kept they were jumping the holes. They weren't filling the gaps like they were supposed to. And you could tell Drew Sanders wasn't comfortable with sealing the edge on a lot of those perimeter runs. So it's more of a discipline thing that I think had to be exposed with our players. And I think we got to understand that there's always a method to save his madness. I believe we could have went deep in the rotation, especially at inside linebacker. That was Moody's game. Everybody knows Moody's skill set fits that game, you know, the way they were running the ball. And then on the offensive side, everybody knows Trey Sanders could have went in there and gave another push to the power run game, you know. But did we have any offensive turnovers? No. I don't think Bryce hasn't thrown an interception all season. You know, the offensive line has only given up 3 sacks. 2 of them were Bryce holding the ball too long, you know, trying to extend plays. So I like where we're at. I like the adversity. I think we should appreciate it. I think we should look at what it causes great players to do when they experience adversity. The fact that we got out with the win, people say we don't play a schedule, but Florida is a quality team. And people got to realize that Florida, if they play everybody like they played us this past Saturday, Florida won't lose another game on their schedule. The tightest game they will have is against Georgia. So let's appreciate it, guys. I don't think we should panic. Pete Gold is doing a great job. He's going to have a great test against Lane Kiffin once again. But if you go back and watch that film, Steven, guys, the scheme was not the problem. Guys, it was just effort. Missed tackles. We had a total of 16 missed tackles in the second half. You can't miss 16 tackles, and 7 of them were on the 99-yard play drive. So it's just those small things, effort plays, and we all know Saban can get all that stuff back in order. So thank you for taking my call, Steven, and I really appreciate it, bro.
Good thoughts there. Good thoughts there from our own Senator Hines here, helping us out here on the show from the Bama-Florida game. We take our next call right here. You are live on the show on a Wednesday. What's going on? How you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
I'm good. Diet's working. From Frankfort, Kentucky, John. I got a question about the record at Alabama at Florida. I think they're one of the only winning programs in the SEC to have a winning record in Gainesville. I'm not sure about that. I looked it up, but I wasn't exactly sure what our record is there. But I wanted to see if you knew that information. How many games we won and lost at Gainesville. Roll Tide and love your neighbor as yourself. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. I know Saban in his career has only lost, as the Alabama coach, Saban has only lost one time against Florida, and that was the 2008 SEC championship game against Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow. But does Alabama have the most wins against Florida in the Swamp? Get a fact check that. Not sure off the top of my head, but once I get that information, I will provide that to you guys. Appreciate that thought right there. I'm going to go to a quick topic here, but appreciate the calls. Continue to have those rolling in, 205-448-1358. Then I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. The 2022 schedule for Alabama football is out, and this schedule right here, folks, I don't know about this one. I know Bama plays Texas week 2 of the season, but you start off with Utah State. You got to play Louisiana Monroe. You got Austin Peay. Austin Peay is on the schedule. There's no marquee season opening matchup. I know Vanderbilt's on the schedule as well, but no marquee season opening matchup. And then you got Utah State, Louisiana Monroe, and Austin Peay on the schedule. So fans, when you saw the 2022 Alabama football schedule unleashed, what were your first thoughts? Because for me, this was a head scratcher. For me, I was seriously refreshing my computer and my phone about 5 times because I thought this has got to be a joke. This has got to be a joke. There is no huge marquee season opener nowhere on the schedule. Once again, I like playing Texas, cool. Playing the SEC, cool. Playing Vanderbilt, all right, cool. But when you got Utah State, Austin Peay, Louisiana Monroe, I'm like, man, I don't know who put this one together, but we may need to put an APB out on who in the world put this schedule together. So, folks, if you saw the schedule, definitely want to hear your thoughts in the next call topic on what did you think about this schedule when you saw it when it was first unveiled. But we'll take a break right here on the show, folks. Don't touch that dial, because when we return, we sit down with the main man, Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, to talk 2022 recruiting and beyond for your Crimson Tide after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian or Jameer.
And we're back in, folks, rocking and rolling from the break of a number one form. For Bama football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, touchdown Alabama Magazine. But right now, we go to the In My Own Words hotline where we pick up the real MVP, the boots on the ground. I've said this once. I've said this a million times. I will put money on this. Nobody covers recruiting quite like Justin Smith does at TDA. He is everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Justin, my man, what's happening? What's going on?
I'm doing good, Stephen. Always good to get back on with you.
Absolutely fun to have you on with me here, Justin Smith, lead scout and recruiting analyst for TDA on the show right now. So, Justin, last week we all saw the game. Crimson Tide faced adversity against the Gators at the Swamp Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, but pulled out a 31-29 win. But in your opinion, did the close game hurt the Crimson Tide in recruiting? Because I remember you and I talked about Alabama and Florida were fighting for some guys. Shemar James, the 4-star, Isaiah Bond, a very talented athlete, among others. But did the close finish for the Tide, did it hurt it in recruiting in terms of the performance last week?
I wouldn't say it hurt Alabama. I would say it more so helped Florida than more so than it hurt Alabama in terms of those recruits who were in Gainesville for that game. And it was a loaded list when you take a look at the prospects who were in Gainesville to watch the Crimson Tide take on the Florida Gators, including a couple of 5-stars who the Gators and both the Tide are going after, Walter Nolan and Evan Stewart. You also had those guys who I've talked with you about in the past, guys who are committed to the Gators at the moment, who Alabama is trying to flip, and Shemar James and Isaiah Bond. So I feel the Gators really gained from having a great game environment, a great game atmosphere that is very important. As I'm pretty sure that you heard and saw, Stephen, the Swamp was on rocking most likely during that matchup. And when you create that type of atmosphere, that is an atmosphere where players and recruits want to play it in the future. So it was a great time inside the Swamp and getting an opportunity to see a great game between the Gators and the Crimson Tide. So I think the entire atmosphere of that game, the way the Gators played, the way that game played out, I think it really helped Florida out in terms of painting a picture that they are on the right side moving forward in the future, that their program is moving in the right direction. If you are a recruit that is considering a school like that, it is something that you're definitely going to keep an eye on. You had a couple of guys take the Twitter, including Walter Nolan, the 5-star defensive tackle out of Tennessee, and talk about how he feels that Florida is moving in the right direction, that they are working to build a great program after seeing what they were able to do in the Swamp on Saturday. So I think it really helped the Gators in terms of them pushing for some recruits, but I don't think it really hurt the Crimson Tide because the season is still young. And at the end of the day, Alabama got the W, and that is the most important thing.
If you're just tuning into the show here on a Wednesday, we got the man, the myth, the legend right here on the phone lines, Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, talking Crimson Tide football recruiting. If you have not been tuning in, you got to check out his show, The Process, every Tuesday and Thursday on the YouTube channel. Justin does an incredible job breaking down each recruit, each offer, each athlete. The guy is just coast to coast everywhere. You cannot pin that man down. He is everywhere. But just as we look at now, the next 2 weeks here, this week and next week, Alabama back-to-back home games inside the confines of Bryant-Denny Stadium against Southern Miss and Ole Miss. How many recruits could we see on the campus in these next 2 weeks? How many guys could we see, and what could be some of the names of these guys that we could see in the next 2 weeks here?
I think the next week in terms of Ole Miss, I think that is going to be a huge game for recruits, not only a huge game for the Crimson Tide, because I think that matchup is setting up to be a big one with Ole Miss looking like a great team out of the gate. So I think that is going to be a great game in Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, a good opportunity for the Alabama coaching staff and Alabama recruiting staff to show recruits what a game like atmosphere for a big-time game is like in Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. So I feel that next week could be really huge for the Crimson Tide. That that list is starting to shape itself in terms of recruits who will make a trip down to Tuscaloosa. The name that is sitting at the top of the list is possibly possibly the top recruit overall, no matter what class, and that's 2023 five-star quarterback Arch Manning. Everyone knows what his last name comes with. He is the nephew of both Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, so he will be in Tuscaloosa when the Crimson Tide take on the Ole Miss Rebels. The Crimson Tide's four-star offensive lineman commit Tyler Booker will also be in Tuscaloosa on that weekend. And I expect that list to continue to get longer because that game is shaping up to be a big one for the Crimson Tide and both the Rebels as well. This weekend, of course, the Tide are taking on Southern Miss. I don't expect it to be a long list of big-time prospects. I think the prospect who leads the way in terms of guys who are visiting this weekend is 2023 five-star defensive end Jaden Wayne out of Washington, who is making a big trip because he is a Washington kid to watch the Crimson Tide take on Southern Miss this weekend. The Crimson Tide have shown a lot of interest in him. He has a whole lot of interest in the Crimson Tide. He's definitely a prospect to keep your eyes on in the 2023 recruiting class. Alabama coaching staff has stayed in heavy contact with him. He has worked pretty quickly to get back to Tuscaloosa, considering that he is a Washington guy for this game this weekend, and the Crimson Tide have been in contact with them as well. So I think the biggest weekend is going to be next weekend, of course, with the Crimson Tide take on the Ole Miss Rebels, but I do expect the Crimson Tide to get some guys on campus this weekend as well.
It's going to be really intriguing, Justin, if Alabama ends up pulling Arch Manning. That's going to be real intriguing because I know Manning is being looked at by Ole Miss. He's being looked at by LSU. He's being looked at by Tennessee. Quite the amount of programs looking at Arch Manning coming from the royal football family, the Manning family. But if Alabama is able to pull Arch Manning, that would be incredible. I mean, that would be madhouse incredible. But we got Justin Smith on the phone lines here and covering recruiting, scouting, recruiting analyst for TDA here on the show. But Justin, so as we look at just your travels, your recruiting travels this past week, getting a chance to watch a lot of these high school athletes, a lot of these Bama targets on the field and in action, who are some of the players that impressed you last week as you were on the road, getting the footage, getting the information, scouting, and breaking down these guys?
So I got an opportunity to see a good group of guys in action last weekend. Of course, going to the Thompson, the highly anticipated Thompson and Hugh Trussell game. It was a good game up until the second half when Thompson decided to pull away. But I got opportunity to see, like I said, a great amount of prospects. I think the guy who was the most impressive, guys have seen his highlights on our YouTube page, of course, and that is five-star defensive end outside linebacker Jeremiah Alexander, who plays for Thompson. He had a huge game. It was basically blowing through blocks, getting after the football, came up with, I think, a total of 2.5 to 3 sacks. He was all over the football field for the Thompson defense. And I think the part of his game that I was most impressed with was his ability to drop back in coverage, which is something I haven't really seen him do. I had the opportunity to see him play a couple of different times, and the thing that has stood out in the past is the sprint that he plays with his ability to rush off the edge with a great amount of speed and power. But I was able to see him drop back in coverage a little bit more, so I think he was really impressive in that aspect. I also got an opportunity to see five-star defensive end Peter Woods in action. I think a good amount of coaches from Clemson University was actually there in action to see Peter Woods and Tony Mitchell compete, and Tony Mitchell was really good as well. So it was a great opportunity to see a lot of good prospects. Sean also got an opportunity to watch a game on Thursday at Huffman High School in Birmingham, Alabama, to check out one of the Crimson Tide targets in the 2023 recruiting class, and a guy who was going to be, I think, going to top quarterback in that 23 class, and that's Christopher Vezina out of Briarwood Christian School in Birmingham. He was really impressive in that game. He's standing at 6'4", weighs approximately 200 pounds. Me and John got an opportunity to see him, and I can say this with 100% confidence. He didn't throw a single bad pass. This is a kid who has thrown more touchdowns than incompletions on the season. I know we put the title out there. Some people may think it's clickbait, but that's his real stat line. He has thrown more touchdowns than incompletions this season. So that is what I was able to do last week, and I'm pumped to see who I can get out to see this weekend.
Alabama, a lot of huge in-state talented guys that the Crimson Tide trying to keep that fort around those guys, trying to get those guys with the Crimson Tide. But We're right here with Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, breaking down the 2022 class and beyond, providing us a little update on the guys that have impressed him during last week on the recruiting trail. Justin, as always, man, we appreciate that. We appreciate the lowdown, the updates. Take care of yourself, man. Be good. Keep that traveling up, brother.
You do the same too.
Absolutely. Gotta love Justin. He is everywhere. You cannot put a GPS on this guy. He is everywhere, tracking recruits, state to state, city to city, country to country. He's going to probably have a jet at some point soon flying to those guys. But we're going to take a break right now on the show, folks. Don't touch that down. When we get back, we return to the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. A conversation with the Bama fans, you guys, comes after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace.
What's up, gentlemen? This is Marvin Constant, All-SEC linebacker and 1999 SEC champion. You are listening to In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
Yes, we are back in from the break of the number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Before we go to the phone lines to take your calls, call statement brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That's the number right there, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We got a few super chats to get to, so we start off with the man, BG. That $20 donation coming from BG, helping us out here on the show. Behind BG, Gucci Tide came strolling on back in here with that $5 donation on his end. Appreciate that from Gucci Tide. Is that Waylon? Our own Waylon Colburn, that $9.99 coming in from Waylon. And the last guy, can't see the name there, that $40 donation. Is that BG again? That is BG again with that $40 donation helping us out here on the show. That $75 super chat goal has been met. Appreciate everybody for showing us love here on the show. But before we get to your phone, the phone lines, take your calls here. A little bit of a transition. So first and foremost, the mayor of Birmingham came and visited the Alabama football team this week and spoke to the team. Coach Saban always getting the best public speakers to come down and speak to the players, speak to the guys, and giving just different nuggets of encouragement, whether it is showing more determination, being there for your teammate, following directions, following instructions, being about we and not about me. Just so many huge nuggets to deposit into a football team that's trying to not only locate its identity as a team, but also pursue the ultimate goal, which is winning a national championship. So definitely big ups to the mayor of Birmingham coming down, speaking to the football team on this week. We take a call right now, though. You are live on the show on a Wednesday. What's going on? How you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Oh, doing great. My name's Justin, calling from Ohio.
Justin from Ohio, what's happening, man?
Oh, good, man. How are you?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Fall is in. A little bit of a change of weather here. We can get out of this heat, but Bama takes on Southern Miss this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Now, a question I had for you, and I was wondering, what's the status on, like, I know he's not injured, but what's the status on wide receiver Javon Baker? Like, does he doesn't get much playing time right now, does he? He hasn't played this year.
He's not hurt. He's healthy. He's out there on the field. It's just he's got to break through in this rotation. That's the biggest thing with him is he's got the size. It's can he get down the speed being out there? Can he get down the consistency being out there? Because you always hear him on Twitter talking about it's his time, it's his moment, but he's got to take advantage of it. That's his issue. He's got to take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, I just was wondering because I've seen so many great things with him, especially in practices. I've noticed in practices he'll be like, running these great routes, and his hands seem great, but like I never hear anything from him, during game time. Like, I never see any kind of big numbers from him, and I thought that maybe he was actually more gifted than like John Mechie, but obviously he's not, the number one receiver like Mechie, but I just always thought that he seemed to have more talent than some of the other receivers.
He has a lot of talent, Justin. The main thing with Baker is Saban wants you to be a complete package at wide receiver, not just catching the ball, not just running routes, so that's important, but you being a good blocking receiver. When the ball is not in your hands, what are you doing? That's the main thing for Coach Saban. When you don't have the ball in your hands, how are you remaining engaged? That's what made a lot of guys so good. Baker still has to get down that concept. We appreciate Justin there for that call, Justin from Ohio. We take our next call right here. You are live on the show. What's going on? How you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Steven, how you doing? Bill from New York.
My man Bill, what's happening, brother?
Well, I watched the game again. And it looks like basically almost the entire team has to get better. And that includes Bryce. Like a couple of those passes to Mechie, I don't think he threw the ball. Once he threw it completely behind him, that would have been a touchdown. Another time, he didn't put enough distance on the ball. I understand he's young and he's a kid, but I'm saying he's part of the group that has to improve. Dale, actually, to me, he looks better than he did last year, but I don't know if he's stout enough to play the middle. That's just my opinion. And I just want to tell you, first, of course, as always, thanks for taking my call. But, Stephen, I also want to tell you that a lot of people are trying to give money tonight and having problems. I don't know what's wrong, but it won't let me give a donation, which I want to do because I love your show so much. It's the best coverage of Alabama football.
Appreciate that from Bill. Now, in terms of the Super Chats, it's a YouTube issue. Not quite sure what's going on. We will diagnose as quick as we can, but definitely a YouTube issue there when it comes down to the Super Chats. But we appreciate every last one of you guys helping out, donating as much as you possibly can, and just getting back to Bill's thought there. Everybody's got to get better. Everybody's got to improve. Bryce has got to improve more. The offense has got to improve more. Bill O'Brien's got to improve more in terms of his play calling. Everybody has got to get better. When you look at the ultimate goal, which is winning a national championship, you're getting everybody's best game, everybody's best test, everybody's best shot. Everybody on this Alabama football team got to get better at making those improvements. But we go to a break right here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial because when we get back, is it time to make a change on the offensive line? Is it time for Coach Saban to look at somebody else in terms of being a starter on the offensive line? We'll discuss it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back in here, people, from the break of number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Touchdown Alabama Magazine. The Crimson Tide taking on Southern Miss this weekend. An opportunity to clean some things up, improve some things, get better in all facets of the game before it has to host Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels the following week on Saturday, October 2nd. And Lane Kiffin is already telling people, stop throwing out this rat poison on Alabama, on Nick Saban. We all know Saban got all the talent. That team is going to have its A game. Lane Kiffin is not buying the narrative of Alabama being a weak football team going into the matchup against Ole Miss. So Saban, master motivator. Saban, a guy of mean psychology, and I think that psychology is finally starting to take some root here in terms of the players on this team, especially the young guys. But before we get into final topic of conversation here, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship from the 2020 campaign, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. This means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk. Hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. Yeah, head on over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. TDAwear.com. You go over Championship Collections merch tab, and you get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. The Alabama offensive line. Crimson Tide offensive line. And when Coach Saban released the Week 1 depth chart for Miami, the starting offensive line went as follows from left tackle to right tackle. It was Evan Neal, Javion Cohan. It was Darian Dalcourt / Chris Owens. But it was Emil Ekiyor Jr. and Kendall Randolph. Now, of course, we all saw the big changes that took place, having Dalcourt start at center, Chris Owens start at right tackle. And though there's been some good moments, some decent moments, still have not seen that offensive line really gel and become a group that can win the Joe Moore Award. And the question becomes, is it time for Coach Saban to make some changes? Is it time for Doug Marrone to make a change on the offensive line, kind of reevaluate this group, and look at somebody else to potentially be a starter on this front unit? And a guy I'm referring to in particular would be freshman J.C. Latham. Because Latham, this is a guy at 6'6", 325 pounds. He was one of 5 offensive linemen that was signed in Alabama's 2021 class, the greatest class signed on paper when you look at Crimson Tide football. And I remember we had a caller on Monday's show that talked about, Stephen, wasn't this 2021 class the best class Saban ever brought in? Why we ain't playing more of those guys? Why those guys ain't out there? Why we ain't looking at our guys that helped bring in the best class of the Saban era on paper? And I do agree, with that statement. So as we look at Latham here, he hails from Wisconsin, played his final 2 years of high school football at IMG Academy in Florida. His senior year, he helped IMG to the #1 ranking for the Max Preps Excellence Top 25 polls. His junior year, helped the program to a 9-1 record. His sophomore year, playing at Catholic Memorial High School in Wisconsin, he upped that group to a 13-1 record, including winning the Wisconsin Division III state championship. So J.C. Latham's no joke. And I remember when our own Justin Smith was scouting him, not only was he a 5-star, but Justin gave him a diamond grade of 1, and there are 3 diamond grades in the TDA system. So a diamond grade of 1 means you are an immediate contributor and a game changer. That's your potential, along with you being a 5-star. The diamond grade of 2 means you are an all-conference player, an all-American type of guy. You're taking that next step forward. A diamond grade of 3 means you are a once-in-a-generational talent. You're just a special player, a potential, top 15 type draft pick as a recruit coming into the program. So J.C. Latham got a diamond grade of 1 from our own Justin Smith. And this dude, right here, massive mauler in the run game, really good in pass protection. And of the guys that Bama brought in that 2021 in this recent class here with Latham, Tommy Brockemeyer, James Brockemeyer, Terrence Ferguson, and Jaden Roberts, Latham is probably – well, not even probably. J.C. Latham is the most ready right now. And he's been getting helped by Evan Neal, who's also an alumnus of IMG. Both guys have been helping each other out. Of course, Evan Neal has been helping Latham transition over to the game at the University of Alabama. And then Emil Ekiyor Jr. spoke before the season started about the ceiling that Latham has, the just unbelievable potential this young man has, the big playability this guy has on the offensive line. And just thinking about these types of aspects here, it got me looking at Alabama has played a lot of 5-stars in the Saban era on the offensive line, and he's played them primarily as freshmen. Now, you look at Andre Smith, who came as a 5-star in 2006. He was a Mike Shula guy, but Coach Saban started him in 2007 at offensive tackle in Saban's first season. You look at Cyrus Quanjo. He came in 2011 as a 5-star. He didn't start as a freshman, but he played a lot as a freshman and ultimately became a starter. But you look at 2014, Cam Robinson came from Louisiana as a 5-star. He started in 2014. Then you go to 2016 and you pick up Jonah Williams from California, started as a 5-star as an offensive tackle. Then 2017, you picked up Alex Leatherwood from Florida, a 5-star, started as an offensive guard, but, eventually became, an offensive tackle, as well. And he picked up for the injured, Jonah Williams in that national championship game. He filled in for Jonah at that spot when Alabama took on Georgia. So there's, of course, Alex Leatherwood. And then you've got Evan Neal, 5-star from Florida, who started off as an offensive guard before being a tackle. So we've seen 5-stars in the Saban era get that playing time as freshmen on the offensive line and become starters, become impactful players. The only guy that was not a 5-star on that list that ended up starting, playing, and starting and being successful was Jedrick Wills, who came in 2017 as a 4-star from Kentucky. And the majority of those guys, whether it was Andre Smith, whether it was Jedrick Wills, Alex Leatherwood, a lot of those guys ended up getting drafted in the first round of their respective NFL draft classes. So we've seen this before, having these individuals play and start as offensive linemen. These were 5-stars for a reason. These were big play guys for a reason. These were marquee players for a reason. And when you're Nick Saban, as much as he enjoys as a head coach, showing that loyalty to his guys, he is also one to say, whoever gives me the best chance at playing winning football, whoever gives me the best chance at winning a national championship, whoever gives me the best chance to have an offense that's dominant, that's balanced, that is successful, that is the guy I'm going with regardless of what the classification is. And Chris Owens, he's got experience. Chris Owens, good dude. Chris Owens, good guy. But J.C. Latham can give you more. He can give you a little bit more. He can bring you a little bit more of what you need at that right tackle spot when you discuss protecting Bryce Young, not allowing Bryce Young to get hit there from these opposing defensive edge rushers, but also opening up that run game more for Brian Robinson, for Jace McClellan, for Trey Sanders, and Roydell Williams. This is something that J.C. Latham can do. So I feel like with him being a 5-star, with him being somebody in this lineage that we've seen 5 stars as freshmen get opportunities, get time on the offensive line, and eventually become starters. I think it's time for Coach Saban and the staff to give J.C. Latham a look here up front. But as always, Tide fans, you want the best in news, notes, information, material, and coverage on your favorite program, that being Alabama football. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you have the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you taken care of right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will return on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're also trying to get the print edition, fresh edition of TDA the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description. If you're also trying to get the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of weownthefourthquarter.com. That's weownthefourthquarter.com. That link in the description as well. But until next time, people, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, continue doing the right thing, fun thing, good thing, smart thing, but most importantly, legitimate thing, to not be bored. You get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Until Friday, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to In My Own Words.